There's a commonality of need among our customers. Not commonality of size, that's not important to us. But our customers have to have common challenges, common issues, and common struggles that they needed our help with. And we knew what was going on in the retail supply chain. We knew what retailers were changing in terms of their demands and all the complications that was creating for their suppliers. So we said that's an area where we can become experts, build the solutions, take it to them, and have expertise and have a product out of the box that we could implement. So we did that because that's what common sense dictated. That was not the norm. And one of the things about keeping things simple is this notion of common sense. One of the surprises for me has always been, why do we call it common sense when it is so rare? You know, we call it common sense, but it's not common at all. If you only employ common sense, you will already have a competitive leg up over other companies and other people. So by using common sense, we decided that vertical segmentation was the best thing for us, and that's what we did. Other companies didn't do that, and in the end, we ended up becoming a lot more successful than all the others who were doing the horizontal segmentation. The other example I like to give, any aerodynamic engineers or aeronautical engineers here? No? That's one of the engineering here, isn't it? You have to start that, okay. Good. That's good because it works out for my example. Okay. So I read this once, and I know it's not necessarily true, and if the aeronautical engineers were there, they would correct me after the talk. So I'm happy that they're not here. But there was this example of a bumblebee. The story about the bumblebee is apparently the aeronautical engineers studied a bumblebee. They looked at the size of the body, the weight of the bumblebee, the shape of the wings, the wingspan, and they did lots of calculations and computations, wingspan to body weight ratio, the shape of the body and what an aerodynamic shape needs to be. And after doing lots of calculations for lots of days, the aeronautical engineers came back and said, a bumblebee cannot fly. It's just not built to fly. The only thing is no one told the bumblebee that, so it goes ahead and flies anyway, right? So they say a bumblebee flies by the power of its own ignorance. What I take from that is this mentality of just do it. You know, a lot of times we spend a lot of time thinking about why something is so hard. So if some of you have a good idea to start a business, I'm sure you'll come up with 10 reasons why you don't want to start a business, or 10 things that could go wrong. And then as soon as you go and talk to your parents about it, your other relatives about it, your friends about it, they will give you a list of 1,000 reasons why things can go wrong and why you shouldn't do this. Just do it. Don't worry about all that. Just be like the bumblebee and fly, and things will work out. Now, we did a number of things like that at Manhattan Associates. We started the company in California in 1990. In 1995, we moved the company to Atlanta. And we wanted to move it with minimum loss of time. You know, working with customers was important for us, and we didn't want to shut down the office for a week or two to move. We wanted to do it with minimum loss of time. So we picked July 4th weekend. July 4th is the Independence Day in the U.S. We picked the July 4th weekend. July 4th that year fell on a Tuesday. So our plan was work till Friday. Saturdays, shut down the computers, shut down the phone systems, load everything into trailers, go to the employees' houses. All the employees moved with the company as well. So go to the employees' houses, load up all their furniture, have the movers drive them across the country. California to Atlanta is probably about 2,000 miles or so. So 3,000 kilometers. Pretty long distance, but drive over the weekend, get into Atlanta on Monday. We would take Monday off. Tuesday was a holiday because of July 4th. And Tuesday morning we'd get into the office, set up all the computers, set up the phones. Things would still be a mess, but Wednesday morning we wanted to be able to address our customers' phone calls and address their needs. When we started thinking about this and started talking to companies, we called several moving experts, and they all laughed at us, and they said, there's no way you can do it. You're calling me now, you want to move in 3 months. 3 months is not enough time to plan and do this the right way. So this is going to fail, and we don't want to be associated with a failure. And there's no way to move a company anyways within a 4-day period. You need at least 2 weeks off and all this stuff. We had 3 movers who come and tell us this story. Ultimately, we said, you know what, we'll do it ourselves. So we had some of the employees actually drive those trucks across the country. We loaded the trailers ourselves. We did get some experts to install the phone system. Computers we set up ourselves, and we were in business on Wednesday morning. So we just acted like the bumblebee and did something. So lesson number 1, keep it simple and just do it. Lesson number 2, do the right thing. In doing the right thing, there are a couple examples. One is obviously, the obvious one is work hard. You know, if only, that's one thing you can control. There are lots of factors that you cannot control. You cannot control the market, you cannot control the economy, you cannot control your customers, you cannot control your investors, but you can control yourself. That's the only thing you can control. And so you can work hard. No one can stop you from putting in the effort that you want to put in. And just by doing that, you make yourself a lot more probable of being successful. And a lot of people ask me about the role of luck in Manhattan Associates, and I'm the first to admit that luck definitely plays a big part. There are a lot of other people who have worked harder than we have, who are smarter than we are, who have not been as successful as we have been. So good fortune is certainly a big part of any success. But it's also true that the harder you work, the luckier you get. You know, every day when you're focused on your task and you're willing to go that extra mile that others are not willing to go, you increase your odds of success and get more of that luck on your side. The other thing in terms of doing the right thing for a technology company, you know, a lot of people wonder what the primary goal of a company is. What is the primary goal of a company? Is it to take care of the investors? Is it to take care of the executives? Is it to take care of the employees, the customers, or what it is? And I say it's only 2 things. Take care of your employees and customers. The rest will take care of itself. Everything else will follow. In terms of taking care of employees, we were very focused on who we brought into the company. Recruiting was the most important job that anyone had in the company. Interviewing people who were willing to join us was the very most important thing. We preferred to hire people that we had to sell them on our story to have them join us, rather than hire people that wanted to join us. So we were going after the really bright individuals who could get a job anywhere, and we had to compete with all the other opportunities they had so that they would join us, because we cared about who made the company up. To give more credence to that, for the first 10 years or so, every employee had a piece of the ownership of the company. So it's no surprise that when we moved from California to Atlanta in '95, 30 out of the 32 employees moved with the company. Why did they do that? Because all decisions were discussed with everybody. Every employee had they had some stock options, so they had a piece of ownership of the company, and they felt like it was their company, which enabled them to pick up and move across the country, which enabled them to contribute more, go that extra mile, and help enable us to be successful. Customers, I think, are easier to take care of than employees. To satisfy customers, you only have to do 2 things. 1, understand what they need, understand their expectations, and 2, exceed them. That's it. That's all you got to do. Now, that's easier said than done, because a lot of times what customers tell you they want is not exactly what they want. So you have to have the acumen, you have to have the insight and the communication skills to engage a customer in a dialogue, to really understand their needs, and then don't just meet them, exceed them. I used to say in our early years that I used to walk around the halls and tell our employees that I used to say, I don't want happy customers. They'd be surprised. They said, why don't you want happy customers? And my response used to be, I only want ecstatic customers. You know, I want customers who are absolutely thrilled with us, not just happy. And to show that confidence, when new customers came to us and said, give us some references, give us the names of customers that we can call before we sign up with you guys, we didn't give them 1 or 2 or 3 customers' names. We gave them our entire customer list and said, call anyone in that list. We think all of our customers are quite happy with us. We don't want to selectively take 2 or 3 and just take good care of them and keep them as references, you can call any one of our customers, and if they're not happy, please call us and tell us back so we can fix the problem. Because if one of our customers is not happy, we don't know about it, and we want to address it. The other thing about doing the right thing is aim high. I know the saying, shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land up among the stars. One of the problems that I see in lots of big companies and in industries these days is a lot of managers want to take care of expectations of their bosses on them. So what they do is set the bar very low. So the boss comes and says, what can you do this year in terms of sales or in terms of production or code writing or whatever? They want to set the bar low so that at the end of the year they will look good. That's creating a lot of problems in terms of what companies can produce. One of the things that I believe in is that you should reward spectacular failures and punish mediocre success. So look for people who are willing to really aim high. Even if they miss, they will do much better than other people can. And then another thing in doing the right thing, you always need to have a clean conscience. Business, you hear that business is cutthroat, you got to take shortcuts. I don't believe that. I think you can always do the right thing, and that's also good business. They are not contradictory. One of the sayings that Narayana Murthy told me, and it's not his original, it's a well-known saying even before that, is a clean conscience is the softest pillow. So when you go to bed at night to get your sleep, the softest pillow is a clean conscience. So always do the right thing. And the other interesting thing that's connected to that is the more you chase success for its own sake, however you define success, the more elusive it becomes. But the more you focus on doing the right thing, the more success will chase you. So, again, do the right thing. That's my second lesson. And the third one is to enjoy the journey. A few years ago, I got an email from someone, and it said, a doctor's definition of life. And this is how a doctor defined life. He said, life is an incurable disease with a terrible prognosis. Okay, incurable disease with a terrible prognosis. So when I first read that, I didn't like it. It made me angry. It seemed like a very fatalistic and very pessimistic comment. But because I didn't like it, it stayed with me for a few days. And after I thought about it for a couple of days, I said, you know what, I still don't like it, but it is true. It's going to end someday. So the prognosis is not good, and nothing can be done to cure that. So what do? The journey is all we have. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. The journey of life is all we have. So if you don't enjoy what you're doing, it's not worth it. So if you wake up and if you don't feel like going to work, look for some other work. Don't do that work. And if you do like what you do, you don't have to work a day in your life. You'll enjoy it, you'll work hard, and still not feel like you're working at all. So we need to focus on the journey. In our case, it was about, what can we do in terms of helping our employees and customers. It was not about some of these financial metrics that I shared with you. It was not about when can we take a company public. It was not about when can we get $1 billion valuation. It was not about when can we get our sales about 300 million. It was about day in and day out, do we enjoy working with each other? Can we make our lives better? Can we make our employees' lives better? Can we make our customers' lives better? So focus on the journey. Since it's the Olympics time, I'll give you an example from two things from the Olympics. One is you should all read the Olympics Creed. I don't remember the full Olympics Creed, but the basic essence of it is that it talks about this journey and not the destination. It says life is not about the triumph, it's about the struggle. You get more pleasure in doing something than in achieving the results of that fruit, of that labor. So focus on the journey, focus on your efforts, don't focus so much on the reward. The reward will come by itself. The other Olympic example is, everybody knows Michael Phelps, right? The most decorated Olympic contestant ever. I don't remember his total medal count, over 20 something. The second highest is 18 or 19, something like that. In terms of gold medals, he's way beyond anyone else has ever gotten. Not this Olympics, but 4 years ago, during the Olympics, he was apparently sitting at Beijing at the hotel, and no reporter was going to him. All the reporters were chasing Rafael Nadal, who was a big superstar at that time, and he won the gold. And they were chasing Kobe Bryant, the basketball player from the U.S., who was also a big superstar. So all the reporters were chasing them. And here was this guy, Michael Phelps, who was supposed to win 8 gold medals, which he did in Beijing. He was expected to win the gold medal in every event he competed in, which was never done before. And he was just sitting there, no one was going to him. So one reporter went up to him and said, "How come no one's coming to you? Doesn't that bother you?" And his response was, "No, I'm just going with the flow." Now, you can take that in one of two ways. I've always believed that you should go with the flow, which means don't take life too seriously, don't take every little thing too seriously, look past little problems and just move on. And I was telling my nephew this story, and actually the story hadn't come up. I was just telling him my philosophy, and I was saying, go with the flow, don't get too hung up on all these little things. And he had come to the US to go to Georgia Tech, and he was staying with us. So when I told him that, I said, "Go with the flow," and he immediately said, "Oh, only dead fish go with the flow." So I guess he heard that in his school at some management conference or something, and he said, "No, we got to fight against the stream, we got to do what we need to do." And I understand that part too. But then 2 days later, this Michael Phelps interview came where Michael Phelps said, "I'm going with the flow." So I showed it to him and said, "This is, what I meant." Michael Phelps does not just, he is very focused on his training. He didn't win 8 gold medals without a lot of work. He worked harder than pretty much anyone in this room ever has probably to get to that level of success. But in spite of doing that, he didn't get too focused on himself. He didn't get too cocky. He was willing to just, not let little things bother him and take that attitude that he was going with the flow. And my last word of advice would be, and this is not only for success in business, but success in life and your own satisfaction and happiness, is be a bargain in life. Excuse me. What I mean by that is give others more than you expect in return. If you do that with your employees, if you do that with your business partners, if you do that with your customers, if you don't get constantly into this fight of, am I getting enough for what I'm doing, you will actually end up getting a lot more than if you had fought, and you can sleep better at night, you'll be more satisfied, and you'll lead a better life. So I hope some of these points will be useful to you guys as you start thinking about starting your companies and being successful entrepreneurs. I'm sure with a center like CEDI, you guys will be even a lot more successful than Manhattan Associates ever was. Wish you all the very best, and thank you for listening to me.
Keep it simple, do it right, and enjoy the journey. That's what we have to say. Just do it. You're sure, sir, we'll be flying bumblebees soon.